Stan Gibilisco here with an urgent request and recommendation, and that is to write your senators and congresspeople right away and urge them to immediately take measures to start hardening our electrical power infrastructure to the danger of an electromagnetic pulse. As things stand now, and as I understand it from what I'm able to gather on the internet, our system is vulnerable to an electromagnetic pulse from a nuclear weapon detonated at high altitude over the center of the United States, or perhaps several in succession, possibly aboard polar orbiting satellites. And also, whether we're able to mitigate that threat by other means or not, the sun could produce a coronal mass ejection, which could cause an electromagnetic pulse of similar magnitude over at least half of the planet Earth, all at the same time. Such an event did occur in 1869, before we really had much of a power infrastructure. I believe the year was 1869. But we did have streetlights in some cities, and a lot of the electromagnetic pulse was sufficient to induce a surge in the power wires that did exist, sufficient surge to cause these lamps to blow out and to do other damage to telegraph stations, something along that line. Anyway, it was vividly apparent that the sun could produce an electromagnetic pulse sufficient to cause damage even then. With all of the microchips and other sensitive computer and electronic apparatus that we have controlling our power grid now, the vulnerability must certainly be much greater. You can do your research on the internet and decide for yourself. But meanwhile, our country, the United States of America, seems to be laboring in blissful ignorance of this threat. Oh, we'll get around to it, Well, the sun will get around to it too, and we have no idea when. And as we continue to allow a certain rogue regime, and it isn't Russia, I'll tell you that right now, a certain rogue regime to develop their nuclear program without taking any measures that I can see, effective measures to stop them. And if they don't do it, someone else will. As these threats continue to build and we continue to do nothing, we are, shall we say, the immovable object awaiting the approach of the irresistible force. Or is it the irresistible object awaiting the arrival of the immovable force? Whichever. The best offense sometimes is a good defense. It wouldn't cost that much in comparison to the money we've been spending on a lot of other things that appear to be much less urgent and much less useful than saving ourselves from the gross inconvenience, to say the least, of a utility power failure that could last for weeks or even months over the entire continental United States, and, of course, Alaska and Hawaii as well, much of Canada, or possibly one entire hemisphere of the Earth. Must we wait until it's too late? No, I don't think so. Again, please write your senators and congresspeople and urge them to pay attention to this threat, and that, again, sometimes the best offense is a good defense. Stan Gibilisco signing off. Until next time, so long.